No more pigeon talk. Welcome, everyone, to the Completely Unnecessary Podcast for Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. We're getting into the festive season. That's Ian Ferguson. I'm Pat Contry. On the show today, we'll be discussing an AtariAge topic that's fairly important, a follow-up on the Wata activities from Carl Jobst. We'll also be discussing a Patreon poll topic. We'll do voicemails. We discuss pigeons and North American wildlife on the exclusive Patreon podcast, patreon.com/CU podcast. So many species not native to North America that will shock you. We should do a video like
shocking.
If we did a video like that, like an edutainment video, it would get like 100,000 views.
Yes.
The 9 species that were not native to North America will shock you.
Yeah. So check that out if you want to be shocked. Shocked and appalled.
What else did you do this weekend, Ian, besides read about pigeons?
So back is still shitty, leaving me kind of not being able to do much. So I played video games. Played more Halo Infinite. I played a little Halo Infinite with our buddy Skylar.
Oh, okay.
I am getting ever so slowly better at Halo Infinite. My kill death ratio is now a solid 1-2.
Oh, okay, that's a 33% increase.
Yep.
I believe.
So I'm doing pretty good on that.
1-2 is better than 1-3.
Hell, I had a 6 kills 8 deaths round of capture the flag last night.
Almost 1-1.
And I captured a flag, so I actually did something for my team.
You returned the flag, or you just touched it?
No, I returned a flag to my base, and I killed a bunch of people holding flags.
Were you better defender and capture the flag? That's the one mode that I never really got into as much on on Unreal Tournament. It's like I liked it, but I never knew if I should be a better defender or runner.
I love capture the flag,
midfield player or whatever.
I end up doing okay with it. I loved playing actual capture the flag as a kid. That was always.
We never actually played capture flags because we played Manhunt.
Yeah,
which is like. Half of it's like related to it a little bit because you capture people.
Yeah, no, it's the same sort of shit.
You have like jails and stuff.
Yeah,
but no actual flag. There's not an actual flag.
It's a childhood game of sneaking.
Of sneaking.
So
you actually had 2 flags.
Yeah.
And then it was just tagged. If you tagged them, they were out. Is that what happened?
It was, yeah. And then we usually had them like in a backyard, and we played it throughout the whole street.
And then there must have been, to be fair, oh, wow, the car's coming. That's fun. There must have been like. You can't get within a certain area of the flags, and it's not fair if you're on top of it. So you had to like,
I don't remember
like
that.
A safety zone,
probably.
And there was like a jail for each team.
Well, there was definitely jail. I feel like there was probably a lot of arguments over capture.
Oh, I touched it. I did.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3 manhunt. No, it was 1-2.
So I did that, and then I played Phantom Abyss, which is a game I've been interested in. It's early access. I don't support a lot of early access stuff unless it's a developer that I already know or it's an idea that I'm really into. But Phantom Abyss is like basically you get to be an Indiana Jones type person and you have to get through a randomly generated temple full of booby traps.
Booby traps.
Yeah.
That's what you said, booby traps.
Booby traps. And yeah, it's a good time. So that's what I did. What did you do besides hanging out with Frank?
Cornish game hens at Frank's.
Yep. Yeah.
For the first time ever, I think we had Cornish game hens one time before. It's just so random. He had them frozen. Hey, Patrick,
I'm going to defrost some Cornish game hens.
Well, he gave me a choice. He said, I can defrost some steaks. I don't want a frozen steak defrosted. Sorry, Frank. That doesn't cook as well. But Cornish game hens was fine. There's not a lot of meat on a Cornish game hen. There's not a lot.
No.
It's almost like an appetizer. So we were so hungry, we ordered pizza afterwards. And it's like, we had two meals, basically.
Did you see me up on the 2 wheels?
Twins reference? Wow, that's a deep cut. I saw that in theaters, Ian, at the Amboy Cinemas. Right, they're playing ATB.
I quote that.
ATB.
I've seen that movie exactly once in my life, and I have quoted that line for 20 some odd years, or if not longer. I cannot get it out of my head.
There's some heart to that movie. There's some heart to it.
Yeah.
There's some violence too. The tone's all over the place.
I remember that. I remember the tone being all over the place as a kid, which is why I've never watched it again, because I thought it was just going to be like a weird comedy movie. But it's
violence and murder
Yeah.
and comedy between DeVito. That was the height of Schwarzenegger's powers.
And 2 wheels. Just see me up on the 2 wheels.
That was like 88, that was.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
No, 88 or 89. Because I remember one year going to like...
I watched it in the mid-90s.
There was... it was always on WPIX on Sunday afternoons. And the guy did its own little jingle that I still know the words to because I'm a crazy person from the commercials. But like it was like that. It was like one of these summers where we went like every other week to the movies. My father would take me to Amboy Cinemas because this is before all the big multiplexes. Most in your town had like 2 movies at most, maybe 3. It was like hard. There was not a lot of multiplexes in Jersey, but that was a multiplex. They had like all the movies. They had like 15 to 20 movies. Everything that was out.
Right.
They had. So like it was 1 year. Maybe it was Twins 89. Ian, can you look that up? Twins.
I'm gonna look it up. Well, you're looking it up.
Release date. It was 88. Okay, so it was 88. But there was it was December 88. That doesn't sound right. December doesn't sound right for that. I'm not trusting Wikipedia. I remember seeing that in the summer. I don't remember seeing that unless we saw it the next year, because there was like 1 year where we saw like Batman, and then the next week Indiana Jones, Last Crusade, and it was like one banger after the other in the summer. That's what we saw. I don't remember that being a December release, but I did see that in the theater. I do remember that. Anyway, all right. So you like Twins? You gotta get that on Blu-ray. You gotta get the. I would love to see a commentary track with DeVito and Arnold.
Man, DeVito was like 45 in that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
So that means he's like 70 now?
Yeah, he's old.
I just saw the premiere of It's Always Sunny.
44 was when he's 77.
Wow. He's still going on It's Always Sunny. It's been on for 15, 16 years.
He recently wrote a comic too, Vonnie bought it. He did like a little short in one of, it's one of those like comics that comes out every once in a while. It's like DC Villains, I think it's called. And like there's short stories in there.
Okay.
And he did a short story in there about Catwoman.
Okay.
Yeah.
A national treasure, Mr. Danny DeVito.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Yeah, he always looked like he was 45 forever or 50 years old, for like 20 years. It's Always Sunny. I saw the season premiere. I guess I took a year off. A lot of these shows took a year off because of the pandemic.
Makes sense.
They came back, and the first show was almost like showed how the gang was involved with like some of the stuff that happened, like and end up the resurrection at the January 6th insurrection, not the resurrection. Some people thought it was probably resurrection, and then like the Danny DeVito character was responsible for like Giuliani's hair dye and things like that. It was goofy. It was like it's just like a recap, catch up episode of the past, sort of like year and a half with the pandemic. It's still a strong show. It's still going strong. It's so funny. It was like that show was like, yeah. If a show is on now that was still on when I was in New Jersey, it's been on a long time.
Right.
It's been on a long freaking time. And I've been catching up with X-Files. Season 5 has been a struggle. I think that's when the show really started to take a tail dive. Because season 5, I think they were working on the movie. Maybe Chris Carter. There's only 20 episodes of season 5, so there probably was a shortened season. Man, you can tell. Like, there's some really poor episodes in season 5 that the previous seasons, there weren't as many. So I think, if you're going to watch X-Files out there, season 1 through 3, I think you're good. And then some of the season, then at that point, it's just picking out the good episodes. Like there's an awesome episode, season 6 or 7, takes place in San Diego, where they go to like the gated community. It's a classic episode. It's a gated community, but there's a monster that's like killing people. They don't abide to like the CCNRs or the HOA rules, basically the HOA rules, like the the neighborhood association. It's a great episode. They basically go in and undercover as a couple. It takes place in San Diego. I probably would recognize the neighborhood if I looked sort of closer on it. But it's a great show. See the news about Sony, Ian?
I did. Sony is introducing a 3-tiered plan.
Of what? For snacks?
For
game subscription
basically
service?
replacing PS Now and PlayStation Plus. The specifics are not out yet, but people are thinking this is going to be similar to the Nintendo plan, where because they're saying that they're going to basically combine them and they're going to start offering access to PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3 games via a service.
And PSP, according to this article.
PSP, really? And wow, okay. And probably doing that this spring. I can understand they're going to keep the PS Plus name. They're going to get rid of the PS Now name. I think that makes a lot of sense because PS Now is not nearly as well known, and I don't think it was ever looked at as being a particularly fantastic service. On the PS4, for instance, only the PS4 games can be downloaded. Everything else needs to be streamed, which is not an ideal way to play this stuff. So I'm hoping that I don't know how they're going to work in the PS2, PS1. I don't know if they're going to wrap them in emulators or what. If the PS5 can handle that more naturally. But I really hope they do include an option for downloading the games and playing them because I think that's what you need to make the service take off. That's what Microsoft Game Pass does.
You mean downloading versus cloud?
Yeah, downloading versus streaming.
So this is what you get. Here's the tiers according to IGN. The first is the same benefits as PlayStation Plus, which is required for online gaming and comes with some free games each month. What is that per year? Like 20, 30 bucks? What was that?
It's $60 a year, I think it's usually 2 free games a month. One of them is usually bigger, one of them's usually smaller.
So the lower tier 60 a year, okay. A little more spendier than Nintendo's options, but okay.
Well, that's what I was trying to say during the whole Nintendo thing. I don't like what Nintendo did, but when you look at Microsoft, and it might be 50, it might be 50 a year, but still, Microsoft, Xbox Live Gold, and PS Now are not cheap.
The second tier offers the gaming catalog like Game Pass. And then the third tier, you're going to get extended demos, game streaming, and then you get your PS1, PS2, and PS3 games and PSP. So they're probably going to price it where most people either get the first tier or the third. They're going to do the second tier. It's like, who the fuck cares? I might as well spend $10 more.
The second tier exists to push people to the third tier.
It's the upsell because you get the Game Pass. You want the Game Pass or their version of the Game Pass, which is a newer game library, and you get all the back catalog. That's probably what this is going to appeal to. But of course, it's going to come down to what the hell is going to get in that library of games.
Right. I don't like the tiers option. I think Xbox or Microsoft Game Pass technically has a tier, 2 tiers, but as far as I can tell, it pushes you towards at least on PC, I'm not sure that you can even access the lower tier. There seems to be there's Game Pass / Game Pass Ultimate. Okay. Ultimate includes some EA games is basically what I can tell.
Okay.
$14.99 a month. We'll see what they want to do per year here for this. The access, if they put a good amount of them, access to PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games, I think is going to be a big deal for people, but price has to be appropriate, and they can't be streaming games. They've got to be something you can download and play accurately with no lag to be worth that price.
The comparison, Xbox Game Pass is $10 a month.
Okay, 15 for the ultimate.
15 for the ultimate. So Pat math, that's what is that? 140 a year? What the hell is 12 times 15? Jesus Christ, I can't do the math in my head. What's 160?
Yeah.
180?
No, it's 80.
180.
It's 80 every 6 months, 160 for a year.
That's okay. So it's going to be probably in that neighborhood probably to compete.
Right. And I mean, I feel like Microsoft Game Pass is a pretty good deal from what I'm looking at.
It's 180, 15 times 12. Maybe you get a discount if you get it all at once.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Pat math was right for once. All right.
It's 90 plus 90, not 80 plus 80.
Okay, great. What else is going on here?
I don't know, Pat, you tell me. Sony VP was fired. This
speaking of Sony,
this was directed at me, and I have not paid a whole lot of attention to it, but I did see that he was caught in a fucking pedophile sting. So that's
YouTube video.
That's pretty great that they've fucking got his ass off the street. A Sony senior vice president who worked on the PlayStation Network has been terminated from his job for getting caught up in an amateur pedophilia sting video.
I'm sure Sony was like, "This is great timing, dude."
Yeah, wonderful. George Kakiopo was allegedly trying to arrange a meeting with a person claiming to be a 15-year-old boy, according to a video posted December 3rd by the YouTube channel People vs. Preds. Cassiopo had been a senior vice president of engineering at Sony for the past 8 years, according to his LinkedIn profile. He has been fired after allegedly appearing in the video. We are aware of the situation, and the employee in question has been terminated from Sony. Gross.
Did he appear? Did he allegedly appear in the video? Or that's him in the video. I guess it's alleged that that's him. They got to be careful with the terminology. It's alleged that he was meeting a 15-year-old boy, but he's in the video. Like you see him in the video.
Yeah.
So there you go. Cameraman walked down the street at night toward a house. Person appears. He was wearing a PS5 shirt. Like on top of it. Like you can't make it up. You can't. He's wearing his employer's shirt. Well, he's about to allegedly engage in an illegal activity.
That's awful.
Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, this happened in San Diego.
Oh, God. Oh, there you go. All right. Game Awards, Ian. It's happening. We might talk about it next week. We don't want to.
This is fucking bullshit. So, Game Awards basically came out and they said, and there's been some updates since, but said that they weren't going to take a side on the whole Activision Blizzard sexual harassment case, and they were going to focus on the reveals. I guess. We're at a point with this Activision Blizzard thing that Sony has made a statement, non-statement, but a statement. Microsoft has, Nintendo has. The companies that fucking play these games on their systems have come out and made statements. And this mealy-mouthed, fucking spineless, no-balls fucking bullshit has just got to stop. You can say something and then still focus on games.
You can acknowledge that it's happening, and it's, you know,
right. And I'm at this point where, and I'm guilty of this, you know, clear the fucking air right now. I've said in the past before that when things happen at these sorts of places, a lot of times there will be employees who say, hey, you know, don't feel like you got to boycott it or do something, et cetera, et cetera. You know, just so you know. They usually say these things to other streamers, people who use these games for business. But we're at the point now where, no, these people have to start losing something. They have to realize that their market share is in jeopardy, their money is in jeopardy, this shit is bullshit, and it can't happen. There needs to be an active reason for them to change, and they will only change if they lose money.
You had a follow-up, Jeff, on Twitter on the 3rd. So he's followed up and said, because of the criticism, the Game Awards is a time of celebration for this industry, the biggest form of entertainment in the world. There's no place for abuse, harassment, or predatory practices in any company or any community. I also realize we have a big platform which can accelerate and inspire change. We are committed to that, but we all need to work together to build a better and more inclusive environment so everyone feels safe to build the world's best games.
Fuck off, Jeff. I said that in a tweet that it's hard to walk back such a glaring statement. Well, once you've said it, you've already said you don't care. So walking it back, this fucking milquetoast wait and see attitude. We're going to wait and see. Well, you did wait and see. And now what happens is you're making a statement in support of these people, but you look like a fucking chump because you didn't just come out and say it in the first place.
Jeff Keighley is the video game equivalent to Roger Goodell of the NFL. He is a mouthpiece basically hired by the game companies. Right. The Video Game Awards exist because the game companies pay for it. They're on the board. There's an Activision, at least one Activision guy on the board, you know, or whatever the fuck the Game Awards team that puts this together. They're not going to eat their own, unfortunately. That's all at this point. At this point, the Game Awards, I mean, it's beyond cliche. It's a marketing show. The awards mean absolutely
and they never have.
Nothing.
I'm not like, it's not that I'm upset.
Nothing.
It's not that I'm necessarily upset that the game, I never watched the fucking Game Awards.
I stopped watching it like 4 years ago. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I'm upset by how they chose to handle this, but I'm not upset that, I'm not like, this isn't like, oh, wow, the wool's been pulled from my eyes. The game, no, I know the Game Awards are bullshit.
Yeah.
I hate this. And this is the same guy who did the Mountain Dew and Doritos thing, the Doritos Gate. They call him the Doritos Pope.
That was like 7 years ago.
He is a commercial product.
Yes. I don't know if at this point,
Gotta stop being surprised that these people let you down.
I don't know. I'm sure he might be a nice fellow. I don't know anything he does besides this award show at this point. I don't know anything else he's involved in besides this. He can make most of his salary just doing this award show. I have no idea. So like at this point, like I said, he's like Roger Goodell. You're the commissioner hired by the owners. You have the owner's interest at heart. He has the video game company's interest at heart. That's the bottom line.
Video game industry has this problem where they look at everyone as friends. Everyone's my friend. I think there's a lot of parasocial relationships.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's like any
obviously.
Other thing.
And it's people don't really. Yeah, I didn't. I'm angry at how they handled it. I also didn't have a lot of sympathy for people who thought this was a surprise because this is just how this bullshit is always going to be. I wish it was different, but it's not.
And award shows in general are garbage. They're hot garbage. I figured that out, that they're all circle jerks, and just honestly, a lot of people probably just do it just to build up those relationships they have with people, and it's like almost like an insider event. Yeah, that's all they probably are. Yeah, we can drink and have fun, and we can slap each other on the back, but it's probably just a chance to just, you know, have in-person relationships and meetings with people and things like that. I stopped watching the Oscars like 5 years ago. It's like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm watching these people that are millionaires get these awards, and it's just like they're all just congratulating each other, and it's a 4.5 hour show. And what the hell am I doing? This is insane. to do this. Video games, and it's not just their fault. They're just reacting to the people will watch it on Twitch, they'll watch it on YouTube Live, they'll talk about it. It's all the consumers that get, oh my God, my game's going to win Game of the Year. Who the fuck cares if it wins Game of the Year or not? Do you like the game? Yes or no?
Right.
Do you enjoy it? Why do you need the validation of others to like your art or entertainment? That's what it comes back to. Why do you need others to validate what you like? So you shouldn't have to.
All I'm going to say is don't support this bullshit. If it pissed you off like it pissed me off, don't support it and actually don't support it. And
don't watch it.
I think that's where we're getting with this. People want to say something, but they don't want to take any action. And like I said, I've been guilty of that. If you are pissed off at Activision Blizzard, don't buy the games. They're never going to learn unless you speak with their wallet. If you don't like the Game Awards, if this pisses you off, don't watch it. It's a fucking backslapping party. No one needs it. Tell it to fuck off. Give it low views, and maybe it will change. But stop. So many people, I know, I hate to be this way, but I saw a lot of people angry on Twitter that 2 days after we're already talking about the Game Awards again. Nothing changes if you just get angry for 5 minutes and don't do anything. Don't talk about it. Don't watch it. Don't support it.
And for people to say, well, I want to see whatever, the Elden Rings reveal, guess what? It'll be up on YouTube like right after.
Go to
It'll be
IGN
online.
or Kotaku.
Go to YouTube and just watch it. It'll be on.
I almost said joystick.
Joystick. Oh, rest in peace, joystick.
One up. Any of these websites that were around when I actually paid attention to websites.
Joystick. Or joystick.
Yeah.
They'll be online.
Tell them to fucking kick rocks.
And I did see people that were invited. I think I saw one person say like, yeah, I'm not coming unless this is like addressed in some way.
Like I said, that's the easy way to do it. And that's why I was pissed off and I wasn't going to accept any walkbacks. We're not going to say is how they feel the water. And then they decide, no, have the fucking balls to say something without waiting to see if it's going to go in your favor or against your favor.
Yeah, it's a political thing.
You fucking pieces of shit.
Well, like I said, Activision helps put this show together.
All right, I'm done. I'm angry.
You're angry? Sorry. Don't be mad at Jeff Keighley.
Me.
Well, you won't be mad going to ultimatenintendo.com.
No.
There's lots to put a smile on your face.
Good one.
You got t-shirts, limited t-shirts.
Simple, effective.
You got the RBI baseball stickers that can brighten Ian's laptop. You can fit one now, Ian, on your new laptop.
Yeah.
You got the enamel pins. Perfect stocking stuffer. You can stock about 50 of those in one stocking right there. And, of course, they make a great gift. They're heavy. The Ultimate NES and Super Nintendo guidebooks at ultimatenintendo.com. There's also a sale, cameo.com/Pat Country. If you book on the website, it's 25% off this week. I think it's a promotion they're doing throughout the platform there. So you can book me on Cameo. There was a Gift of the Magi thing happening, Ian. I swear to God, a couple both booked me for the other person for Christmas.
Oh, yeah, you told me that.
And it wasn't planned. I'm like, look at that. Isn't that a great gift?
That's crazy.
Hopefully they didn't have to sell something to get then it's really a gift of the Magi.
Right.
Selling something to get the gift. The person. And I'm on Twitch every Wednesday. Ian loves it. He shows up once every 51 weeks. Twitch.tv/country code. That might be an accurate percentage. Like it's like 1.8%
might be now.
or something like that. You see the portable Saturn, Ian?
Yeah, this is neat. This was brought to my attention by my pal Steve Lynn.
He's my pal too.
Unbelievable work by TZMWX to create a portable Sega Saturn. This is a tweet by, among other things, cutting the board in half and reconnecting everything by hand. This is at Shape Mods. You can go to bitbuilt.net to find it.
Snapped it in half like a cracker.
So there's a size comparison. It's white. It looks to be a little bit bigger than a Game Gear.
Okay.
Looks to be a little bit bigger than a Game Gear. I don't know a whole lot about this. I can just tell you that it is awfully impressive. There is a picture of the board being cut in half, and it looks like a lot of work was done to reconnect everything. That is a shitload of wires.
No wires.
Always impressed by these sorts of projects.
And I guess to load the games, they use the what's the thing that costs $200?
An ODE, an optical drive emulator?
Yeah, optical drive emulator.
That makes sense.
That makes more sense.
Yep.
There.
Probably saves on battery life quite a bit, too.
I would imagine, yes. Yeah. If you had a disc thing come out the side to load it, or just there's no room to put a CD in there. That's fantastic. What did you say? It was on bitbuilt.net.
Bitbuilt.net in the forums.
Say that 3 times fast. That's funny. A gamer. It's got to be a gamer. A gamer has 2,700 Burger King, Sneak King, 360 games.
Yeah.
So this comes from Comic Book Resource, CBR.com. We're starting to pick up on their video game news the past few months. We're talking about it more. One collector obtains as many copies of the Xbox 360 Burger King tie-in Sneak King as he can, gathering a whopper of a niche collection. Wink! This is a user No Mercy Video on Reddit. He claims, although the post came from Reddit, from No Mercy Video, claims that the collector managed to obtain 2,706 physical copies. No, that's the user. Okay. Well, the picture can't accurately be counted. There's a noticeably large stack of discs, which reached the shoulders of the owner. The collector has even documented some parts of their quest to obtain as many copies as they can, uploading some of their journey to the YouTube channel Sneak Kings with a Z. Okay, that's incredible. That's it's two people. It's let's see, one person the part. Leroy Patterson is a stuntman pro wrestler, and Bobby Ramos is a wrestler as well as a voice actor. So this is what I'm going to say about the Sneak King, or the other two games. What's the little motorbike game, and what's the third one? I always forget. The
There's bumpers, big bumping.
Okay,
big bumping.
There was a point in time, maybe still, where I go to the swap meet and see a box of these three games sealed. You would see just dozens of them. I guess, like they shipped them out to all the Burger Kings and they had so many left over that what do we do with them? They just gave them away to employees, or they're worthless. They made millions of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I had at Luno at one point, I think someone came in and they called us up and asked if we bought video games. And we were like, yeah, of course we do. And they're like, do you buy a lot of them? And we're like, oh, sure. Jesus, okay. He's like, I got a lot of sealed stuff. And normally we don't whatever. We're like, sure. Dude rolls in, looks like he's never played a video game in his life. Just some flea market guy. Puts him down on the counter. Obviously looks like proud of himself. I'm like, it's all Burger King games. I'm like, these aren't worth anything. He's like, nothing.
They gave these away for dirt. I don't know what they cost at the time, like $3.
It was like $2.99 with a meal or something. Yeah, they weren't expensive to begin with, and they just had
shovelware.
Yeah, and they just had too many of them. And the guy looked at me and goes, I don't want this box. And I'm like, I don't really want it either. And he's like, $5. And I'm not kidding. There was probably 60 copies of these games in there. And we were like, sure. And we put them in our bargain bin for $1 a piece and eventually sold them all. But yeah, so they're everywhere.
I did a preliminary search on eBay, Ian, for these. Mm-hmm. 2 different sellers that have tons of these that you can get 3 for $7. Rise by Christmas, by the way, all 3, which is Sneak King, Pocket Bike Racer, and then what's the third one? Big Bumpin'. They've sold at least 188. This one seller of the set of 3. They're sealed, by the way, new.
Oh yeah.
The second seller, I haven't checked more of this. The second seller has sold 445 sets of them sealed.
Wow. For how much?
$8 for this
$8
in but free shipping. So you want to go for that one? This is someone in Tulare, California. $8 for all 3 sealed, and they've sold 445 sets. So just imagine how many. This is the Spider-Man 2600 360.
Oh yeah.
They're probably there's no. This is like the Cheetah Man 2, but it's not real. It'd be harder to find one actually opened
sure.
than a sealed one of these.
Sure, I could see that.
What was this, 2005? When did they do this? 2007, around there? That's
I think that was before I. Well, yeah,
when it came out in 2005, right? Late 2005 or 2006?
Late 2006, but they're playable on an original Xbox, so I think it might have been 2005, 2006.
What's playable on the original Xbox? These 360 games are?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They're not actually 360 games.
They're Xbox. Forward compatible?
They're not. Well, they're Xbox games.
Really?
So the 360 is just backwards compatibly playing an Xbox game.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's incredible, Ian. That's dropping some knowledge. When we do video game years 2007, you can bring that up. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. What else is going on here? Is that it for the intro?
Yeah, that's it. That's the intro, man.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you're on YouTube, remember, we got an audio podcast. We don't remind you often, but you help us out. You listen to audio podcasts, on Anchor.
Pump the numbers. Pump the numbers.
Anchor.fm/the CU podcast.
That's right. If you haven't finished your holiday shopping yet, don't panic. we've got a secret source for incredible original gifts, and that's Uncommon Goods. UncommonGoods.com has the absolute best gifts for everyone in your life. We're talking moms, dads, teens, in-laws, best friends, your one and only, and it's not stuff you can find just anywhere. Uncommon Goods has unique and creative gifts, often handmade by independent artists and makers. So skip the gifts that scream last minute and find something truly original at uncommongoods.com. They've got a lot of interesting things on that website. I particularly like looking at all of the interesting food things that they have up there. For instance, they have a quick pickles gift set. You can make spicy, sweet, or dill pickles. The brines come in the bottle. You just add the veggies and wait a few days. They've also got gourmet peanut butter cups.
Oh, that looks great. They have gifts for everyone. You like baseball? They have the vintage baseball park map glass. They're like tumbler glasses, and they're an etch map of some of the older stadiums. If you like that, you want to decorate your garden. How about the Zen turtle garden sculptures? They're adorable. They're Zen. They're relaxing. They're turtles. They're cute. And for the kids, build your own robot kit. It's painted hardware, but you put it together, your own little robot. It's adorable. It's fun. There's all original stuff here, Ian. They look for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They're the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. Uncommon Goods also offers uncommon experiences. Choose from live online classes in mixology, cooking, flower arranging, embroidery, and more from hand-picked artists and experts. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a non-profit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $2.5 million to date.
So if you want to check out Uncommon Goods and get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/CU podcast. That's uncommongoods.com/CU podcast for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. Amico. It's Amico time. Oh, and it's a big week. Big week for the Intellivision
Is it big
Amico.
week?
Big. Never going to do it again live if you always press the button.
I haven't done it for a few weeks.
So, AtariAge, that hallowed ground that we have once talked about positively and then negatively, and
It's a forum.
maybe someday
It's a classic gaming forum.
It's a classic gaming forum. Classic gaming forum focusing on Atari, Intellivision, ColecoVision, like really that era of stuff.
There's an Atari game database.
There's probably some TI stuff in there, Texas Instruments. They had in a Intellivision Amico sub-forum that was famous among people who follow the Amico because it had a thread initially called Tommy Tallarico Q&A where he introduced like the Amico. It kind of became the fortress, the home base for Amico fans. It was pie in the sky things that Tommy and other people said were rarely questioned in this forum. Dissent was not really accepted and resulted in lots of bans from the thread itself.
Of longtime AtariAge members.
Longtime AtariAge members, some even being banned entirely from the site. They always said that it was being run fairly, but if you look,
It wasn't.
It wasn't. I mean, it's easy to go back and look and see the situations. A lot of, I'm not saying all of the people banned did not deserve it, but a lot of the people who were banned were simply just asking uncomfortable questions of Tommy, and Tommy didn't like it.
And then there was some collusion. I'm not saying there was any incentives, but the moderator, not Albert runs the site, but the moderator Jaybird III had a heavy hand.
Oh yeah,
and it was almost like he was a part of Intellivision. That's what it seemed like. I'm not saying he was, but like he was doing Tommy's dirty work in that thread
very clearly, and it was crazy to see how people can get trapped in a cult of personality because I'm not trying to, I don't know this person, but that Jaybird III was very anti Coleco Chameleon. Yeah, during that whole Coleco Chameleon thing, he was very much on the side of ours and other people who were like, this is never going to happen. This is clearly, not... Scam isn't the word I want to use, because I feel like these people, as dumb as they are, did have some intent of trying to create a console that made them, famous.
The Chameleon...
I don't think I don't think any of these started out with the intent to scam money from people. I just don't. I think they're all ideas that got way out of control, and they don't know how to stop the problem. They don't know how to stop the house from burning. Yeah, it's crazy to see how someone like that, who saw through the Coleco,
the Amico what?
Jesus,
the Coleco
Chameleon was bought into the Amico hook, line, and sinker.
So originally this giant thread, which would turn into hundreds of pages, and then Tommy posted on it near daily for a lot of the 2.5 years it's been there, or 2 years, it was there. It became, like you said, a breeding ground for not just sycophantic behavior, but also like people saying, "Oh, I want this in the console, Tommy. I want this and that." And at first, it was his own thread. And then there was a subforum, and then it spawned out, and then it became the Amico Fun Conversations. You said in August. You told me
that started in August, which I still think is one of the most pathetic things I've ever seen.
Because you can no longer question the leader.
Oh, it made me feel bad, so we're going to change it to Fun Amico Conversations. It sounds like a fucking playroom for toddlers.
So the thread was also used to attack and libel me, to libel Ian, to make fun of our physical, how we are physically. People like Kevtris were libeled, and lies spread about them, and it was all allowed on AtariAge. And I pointed some of these things out to Albert, who ran the site, and he did take care of a few things, like a year and a half, like early 2020, when it really started to get worse for people attacking at least Ian and me. That's when it really seemed like people got more desperate to start attacking us for whatever reason. Maybe because it looked like it at that point was turning to something bad, and plus that's when they started taking pre-order money. Was March of 2020. And that's, I said at the time, that all bets were off then. We have to have a more critical eye when you start taking money from people.
Yeah, once they go the crowdfunding route, and I don't care what Tommy wants to say, it's actually called this crowdfunding. Once they went the crowdfunding route, that's when I felt like, it was open season for making more comments.
Yes, especially if you're going to have outlandish claims that end up being lies and falsehoods.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That entire thread created things that thread created a narrative around the Amico that it never originally was. It was basically Amico by committee for the first, especially for the first 6 months to a year. You have things that people brought up that suddenly ended up being put as like official things that were going to happen in Amico.
And then I saw on the Intellivision_Amico subreddit, someone pointed out that the Amico at some point also became like an anti-Pat Ian console.
Oh, well,
and to some people
that's clear
as well, because it shows like a lot of the detractors, a lot of people that support us and prop this up, had histories with us.
Oh, a certain author. I feel like a certain author's support.
Not just that, YouTubers.
Oh, no, but I'm just saying a certain author's support of that system 100% seemed like it was a reactionary bit of nonsense to us.
So, but the final point is this: it lasted far too long. But on Sunday the 5th, the entire subforum was wiped from existence.
Gone, donezo.
Way too late. It should have been done last year sometime, but better late than never. And I guess the question is at this point, why did this happen, right? Why did this happen? So we have the official responses of why this happened, then we have the unofficial responses. And the reason out there you think this all is just a subforum is that this subforum / the big Tommy Q&A thread, there's a lot of things that went down just in that thread. There was people use.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned it has millions of views and had how many posts?
I had to check. There's hundreds of pages of posts.
Right. It was. It became, like I said, the home base for Amico, more so than any Reddit, more so than a Facebook page. This was the central ground zero gathering place for Amico news.
A lot of the stuff that Tommy first revealed about the console was said on that forum, or things he tried to say, although I didn't mean, I just posted on the forum. A lot of the first ideas, or hell, even like anti-Pat Ian videos were posted and shared on that thread. Like things like it became this like one stop for Intellivision Amico cultists. People that were interested, but also cultists. and also people that, should not be, should be allowed to operate heavy machinery. We'll just say that. So you want to go by the unofficial response first, or what? We'll go by what happened first. With what happened to the Amico forum was posted by someone after it was wiped by 6502 Wrangler. What happened to the Amico forum? It appears to be gone. I just saw Tommy Talrico's final post inviting people to the Amico Facebook group. Maybe that was against policy. If this isn't a glitch, why nuke them rather than lock them? Albert, who owns the site, responded, I have removed the Amico forum. A new Amico forum will return if and when the Amico is actually released and starts arriving in customers' hands. I'd already considered removing the form for various reasons, but Tommy's 2 posts tonight just cemented the decision. I don't see the posts. I don't have records of the 2 posts that he removed. Not only because he made these posts to promote his Facebook group, but also stating no dingalings allowed. Dingaling, a nice way of saying dicks. While stating in one of those posts, it's best to try to keep the drama out of AtariAge. Then he put a little emoji of hand hitting the head like, oh, geez. And this is after he previously proclaimed that publicly he would no longer be posting on AtariAge, which I was perfectly fine with. Well, there won't be any more drama about the Amico on AtariAge for the time being, so he was right about that, Al. So basically, Tommy was trying to promote, he has this now insular private Amico Facebook group. This is as close to as circling the wagons as you can get. When you're in your own private Facebook group and posting to your own little audience.
Apparently it's not, it's apparently anyone can look at it and see. It's not, I mean, you have to join.
You have to join.
Right. But
if I try to join it, they'll see my name and say no. Likely. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm just, what I'm saying is they're not vetting it for the most part. Anyone can join it. But still, yes, it's still a private Facebook group. It's not out in the open. It definitely seems like this is like a last stand.
It's a last stand.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that it took this long to get to this point, but it did. It did. And if it wasn't for this, I'm not saying things would have been radically different if it wasn't for this thread existing, but my life would have been easier a little bit. Ian's life would have been probably easier slightly because it allowed this fomenting of these bad actors that try to attack any reasonable critic, not just Ian and me, other people. And without this breeding ground, I don't think you would have had that nearly as much. I don't think you would have had it. I would this like echo chamber of attacking people.
Right.
It got out of hand. I pointed it out. I was ignored. But what are you going to do? So Tommy posted after it was wiped. Tommy put out a statement to try to spin the narrative here. This is what he posted on Facebook. Ready? I'll try to do it in my Tommy voice, but I'm not. It'll make me sick. Yo, friends from AtariAge. Just want to let you know that Albert and I were planning on shutting down the Amico Fun Conversations thread months ago when the Amico forum was moved to new consoles from the original Intellivision area. But he decided to keep it open while we started building up this group and moving interested folks over to here.
Can he ever not spin anything?
My original thread was getting too big and massive, about 1.5 million views in caps.
He cannot miss an opportunity to brag.
Pretty amazing. Not only was it getting too big, as he preferred people to make separate threads for each topic, which totally makes sense, but the thread was also attracting a lot of unwanted drama from the bad hombres and concerned trollers. Bad hombres. What are you, fucking 70? This wasn't fair to AtariAge, Albert, and all the mods who constantly had to monitor the place because of drama and, in quotes, jerks. AtariAge ended up shutting down the entire Amico area and will more than likely start a new area section when Amico finally, in caps, comes out. He actually put finally. Anyway, just wanted to give you some context to anyone who may have come from AtariAge to this group and noticed that my Amico Fun Conversations thread was closed and the Amico area is gone. Thanks. Let me know if you have any questions about AtariAge and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. So, what do you think Pat did? I put on my Hearn Burford out of control news hat, and I talked to Albert. I talked to the source, and I asked some questions about this post. As I put on my newsman hat sometimes.
What's Albert say?
All right. Hi, Albert. Was there any truth to any of what Tommy said on Facebook saying you both were planning to shut down the Amico Fun Conversations thread, or was he making that up? Albert responds, yeah, no, I've only spoken to Tommy once in all of 2021 regarding the Amico forum, and that's when I wrote him in August and told him I was likely going to nuke the Amico forum as I was tired of the shit. I most certainly never agreed to shut down the Amico Fun thread, although he did suggest it. I ignored that. I just looked at the conversation again to verify I didn't say anything even close to that. I did suggest he create his own forum, and it looks like that may have been the impetus for creating the Facebook group he's been promoting. So there you go. So he didn't agree to anything like that. It was a lie. Tommy lies again.
Yeah.
Lies, lies, lies.
People always ask for us to point to that sort of stuff here. Right here. Forum owner. Tommy lied.
Lies.
And this is funny too, because Tommy acts like the way he writes makes it sound like he was chum in contact with Albert all the time. It's how he does it's how he talks about every single relationship or acquaintance he has. Miyamoto, everyone. He has to be mentioned in the same people. He needs to have people think that he's associated with interesting people.
There can't be. He can't think that anyone has anything negative to think about him.
Right.
Like you can't do that. You can't. So then I asked, was this the final straw, or was there something else that occurred? He said, I'm not even sure why he said that, except to make it sound like we recorded any crap regarding the Amico forum, which certainly was never the case. And for the record, not I nor anyone else associated with AtariAge has ever received any compensation from Intellivision Entertainment or Tommy regarding that forum, nor was any offered or asked. In hindsight, I should have removed the forum when I initially threatened to. I thought locking that fun thread and then the other general threads would calm things down, which it did a bit. Tommy reported a post by some user, blah, 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 and that he would no longer be posting on AtariAge. Then yesterday responded to a comment in the all pre-orders VIP thread, and then started a completely new topic to promote his Facebook group. That's what pushed me over the edge to finally pull the trigger. Someone naturally started a topic asking what happened, which we went over.
Yeah.
Then I asked, for the record, you think the sub forum wasn't a good idea to begin with, or just become its own monster? And what was the thought behind deleting everything versus just locking it down? Do you think it would be less drama not to have old threads accessible? Albert says, I think it was absolutely fine to create the forum. At the time, it was a new console that looked pretty interesting. And obviously the ties to Intellivision have direct relevance to AtariAge. We have a very active Intellivision forum. In hindsight, certainly it should have been moderated better, and I take responsibility for that, especially given the lightning rod that Tommy is. As for deleting everything, well, it's just hidden from everyone. It's not deleted at this point. It's possible I will again make it visible again in a read-only mode when I create a new Amico forum when the console comes out, assuming that happens at some point so people can reference the old threads. And I finally asked, do you feel Tommy was allowed more leeway to act against the forum's rules versus a typical poster? Also, is Jaybird Third still a mod? It looks like he hasn't posted since August. He responds, that's hard to say. I wasn't paying as close attention to the Amico forum as I would have liked, but in hindsight, I certainly would have watched over that forum more closely, and in particular, paid more attention to Tommy's posts. I know we did warn him to stop bringing outside drama to the forum, and that he would be better served focusing on the Amico instead of his detractors. Even at the very end, he couldn't restrain himself from saying no dinglings allowed, which was completely unnecessary. While Tommy is obviously enthusiastic about the Amico, he's not a Grace spokesperson. And he says, Jaybird Third is still a moderator, but he's pretty busy with his job and personal life right now, so he's not active at the moment. Maybe that's being political. Maybe Jaybird the Third has been given a timeout by Albert. I'm not going to totally speculate, but he
stops posting around the time that the thread changed names from Q&A. So
this is what I'm going to say.
I'm not gonna whatever.
I'll trust Albert, but it was pointing out Tommy's bad behavior, that if he was a regular poster, would not have gotten away of making fun of our physical appearances.
Oh, sure.
Calling like Pat the Punk and the long-haired dude and other derogatory statements. I didn't see a lot of them. I just early on pointed out, like, this is bullshit. You can't be using this forum, this Q&A thread to personally attack not just me and Ian, but other critics. And he's attacked other people as well. So, like, you can't allow that. It makes your site look bad. It makes your site look like it has no integrity, your forum. And it makes it look like, like, what the hell is going on? And from what I hear, a lot of longtime members stopped frequenting the site, or paying subscribers they let their subscriptions lapse because of this. Maybe that's part of the reason as well.
Yeah.
To finally do it. And this is what I'm going to say about the association to the original television. There is no fucking association to the original television. It says it in the fucking SEC filings on Republic that this company has no connection to the original Mattel in their production of the Intellivision. It says that in a government filing. Right. It says that. So I don't know what else to say about it. It was ridiculous that it went on that long. Ridiculous. So is this a beginning of another sort of end to this project? I don't know. But at least the wind's been taken out of the sails. There's one YouTuber that covered this console a lot, had hundreds of videos covering it, and privated all their videos recently.
Yeah.
So maybe now at this point it's gone too far for a lot of people.
Basically, the the people that we said would be canaries, I think, are starting to canary. They're starting to die.
They're dead.
Yeah, they're
in the
starting
coal
to
lines
die.
and they're
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. Yeah, without mentioning that person's name, because I just don't want to bring any undue attention to a lot of the people who cover the Amico. They don't like me, but I don't feel anything negative about them. This has all been Tommy for me.
I feel negative about the ones that are personally attacked
I
us.
feel negative about some of them, but frankly, I have other things to worry about.
Sure.
But yeah, when that guy privated all those videos, I mean, that was one of your biggest, and granted, he has been more quiet over the past 6 months. I think he started to realize shit was maybe not looking so good. But yeah, when all those videos go private, when your home base kicks you out the front door.
We'll see. Remember, Q1 2022.
When you got some of your spokesmen coming out and being like, oh, they're not actually being manufactured. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like
In production doesn't mean manufactured.
we are at the point where writing is really on the wall. Just in terms of financial quarters. I mean, the financial year ends in March with nothing for the investors. You can only string it on for so long.
Yeah. And again, for this to come out.
And this has been slow. This has been slow as it is. Like, I feel like if this was anything else, we would have been done with this over the summer.
For this to come out by end of March, you didn't need it in production now. End of March is only 4 months away.
With Chinese New Year and
Chinese New Year take 2 or 3 weeks
Lunar
out of
New Year.
production.
Yeah,
So like this has to be in production now. So whenever you're looking at the timeline when this console can come out to people, you got to look at 4 months from now if it's getting shipped over from China or somewhere in Asia. It's 4 months from today if it's not in production. That's your time frame, and that's if it doesn't get stuck on a boat. Like the Evercade Versus is getting stuck and can't get. It's on a boat and it can't even get to the inside the port to get off.
sure. Better hope those controllers don't have any faulty batteries either.
Yes, if you think the play date, which is put together by a real company, Teenage Engineering, they put it and they had an issue from a hardware manufacturing standpoint. You don't think these issues can happen to a company like Intellivision Entertainment? They can't have something like bad happen in the process.
Well, nothing ever happens to Tommy. It's Tommy Tellerico. He can't lose.
He can't lose.
He can't lose.
He's got the secret. He can't lose.
People actually fucking said that to us.
He can't lose.
Tommy Tellerico can't lose.
Can't. It's not how the world works.
No one's invincible.
This portion of the CU podcast is brought to you by Manscaped. It's holiday season. Don't know what to get as a gift or a stocking stuffer? Well, today's sponsor, Manscaped, has the tools to guarantee you win this year's stocking stuffer or white elephant competition. Manscaped is the leader in men's below-the-waist grooming, and they have served more than 4 million men worldwide. If my pat math is correct, that's almost 8 million balls. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with code CUPodcast.
Ho, 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 fellas. Naughty or nice, it's the season to perform. Manscaped's best-selling product is the Performance Package 4.0, which is at the top of every man's wish list this year. Inside, you'll find their Lawnmower Body Trimmer, the best trimmer on the market for your balls, butt, and body, and the Weed Whacker Ear and Nose Hair Trimmer. Let's not forget their famous liquid formulations, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner to maximize your ball hygiene routine. Get the Performance Package now to receive their 2 free gifts, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. The dads can't stop talking about it, the teens buy it, and the women will love you for it. Now, these are our picks for Manscaped Surefire Win Stocking Stuffers. Number 1, the Manscaped 2-in-1 Shampoo and Conditioner, just launched, killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Number 2, the Manscaped Cologne Infused Body Wash. 3, Shears 2.0 Luxury 4-piece Nail Kit. 4, Crop Mops Ball Wipes for your stanky balls. 5, Manscaped Signature Cologne. These formulations are all vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, and paraben-free. So you know their products are legit. They're sucker-free.
Whether this is for your partners, your dad, your brother, friend, get them something they will actually use, and it's almost sure to get a laugh. Make sure you hurry to their site to ensure these wild gifts show up before the holiday season. While you're at it, get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with code CUPodcast. Be the ballsiest gift giver this year with Manscaped. Happy holidays. All right, Ian.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow up to the Wata retro gaming sealed hullabaloo from Carl Jobst, speedrunner extraordinaire, and now, I guess, gaming journalist. Back in, was that September? He reported on a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about since going back to like 2019. about the weird relationships between the people running Heritage Auctions, running the Wata grading company, the people buying the carts and promoting them and pumping it up, and things that we were railing upon for years to a lot of deaf ears. And then Carl did the video and it blew the hell up in September. And now it's almost like Wata is almost like a boogeyman name when it comes to the retro gaming scene, for good reason. So Carl did a follow-up video, and this is why. When he first did his video, he had a lot of people say, and even a lot of sealed game collectors like, yeah, this kind of looks sketchy what they did. They didn't disclose this relationship. But, it's just unethical, and maybe there's nothing bad in terms of legality going on. And there was even game journalists that kind of alluded to that as well. It's like, it is what it is. So Carl wanted to do a follow-up video, especially since things were revealed since that video, like Mark Haspel selling games to journalists at the Abramson and finding out that, hey, a guy working for Wata is selling graded games. This is unethical. And Ian commented on how that was wrong, and that shows up in Carl's follow-up video when he talked to Dennis Kahn at one of the retro gaming events.
Portland, maybe.
Maybe Portland, like maybe 2019.
Yeah, probably.
So Carl then went into this in this video and spoke about, well, this is potentially illegal activity going on. These are potential Federal Trade Commission, FTC violations happening. These can be unfair, manipulative marketing practices going on. Unfair, deceptive trade practices, to be more specific. That the FTC would say, this is not good. You can't do this. This is the same thing like false advertising. There are laws against these things. You can't just say, hey, Ian, I have a nice bread, makes your boner 3 inches bigger. You can't just say these things. They're illegal. Did I sell you on that bread, though? You don't need it, buddy. I don't know if he does. Anyway, so the point is this. We needed someone, not just idiots running a podcast, to say this stuff is probably illegal. We needed someone to say, yes, in my legal opinion, this is probably some wrongdoing going on. And that's what part of this video is.
That's the part of the video I frankly find to be interesting, is I like the legal analysis.
Which was Alita from Legal Bites, shared her expertise.
So she goes through a handful of things and kind of talks about the initial Wata release, the initial announcement of the purchase of the game.
The $100,000 Super Mario Brothers. That's where this all began.
And then she also looks at the legal. She looks at the Pawn Stars.
The episode where they showed up about a year later with that $100,000. And
then there was one more thing that they looked at. She looked at. I can't remember exactly. But she does a very good job of going through and talking line by line through how these, how it would look, and doesn't always fall on favor of, this is a problem, but notices that there are issues in certain things. She goes into talking about puffery, which is kind of, it says here, opinion statements subjective in nature that cannot be proven, false exaggerations. Basically, they're not actionable. Saying something like the video game market is on the rise, which, I mean, you could prove false, but it falls under puffery. Basically, it's what they consider
marketing.
It's like a margin of error that salespeople are given to blow their product a little bit.
You're allowed to market your product with like, hey, our gasoline will put a pep in your car's step. It's like, you can't prove it false. It's just a thing you say. What
changes puffery is if it is a very specific claim.
Yes.
And then that's what, that's when it becomes an actionable thing.
All right. So we talk about puffery, which could just be marketing talk versus a specific claim. So in the Heritage Auctions release here, press release, you had, let's see, you had this collector, Zach Geek, owner of Just Press Play Video Games in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He was one of the 3 buyers. Called this example the equivalent of the valuable comic Action Comics #1. This is the first appearance of the Superman of video games. We all knew how hard it is to find an open copy of this version in nice condition, but to find one sealed is truly something I thought I would never see, even after selling vintage video games for over 20 years. So it's something very specific. It's specific. It's a very specific claim. that could potentially
comparison to a thing so that you think it's going to act in such a way.
Yes. And it's going to be Action Commons #1, which Action Commons #1, I mean, there was just a sale for that for millions of dollars.
Right. It's comparing it to probably the most expensive collectible. I mean,
one of the most expensive like,
collectibles,
pop culture collectibles.
on the market.
So you're already putting it on that pedestal right there. But the other thing that was interesting now is that what she talked about was talking about would the average, like when you hear the claims, would the average person's opinion weight of the claims change if they knew financial or other relationships of the parties involved in the sale/endorsements? So we're talking about undisclosed relationships in regards to the valuations. That was a big thing she keyed upon. So like we talked about how like, you know, Jim Halperin, you know, he owns Heritage Auctions. He buys this game. Would people have known or thought that this was all on the up and up if they knew, for example, that Jim Halperin was an investor in Wata Games? Would that have flavored them knowing that a guy running the auction house was investing in the company that's auctioning the game?
The way she words it exactly is, would your knowledge of their relationship cast doubt upon what they are saying as being truthful or something along those lines?
Correct. And that goes back to the heart of the issue, the things we always talked about, that none of the relationships were ever disclosed. None. You know, Rich Lecce shows up on Pawn Stars with this game. Dennis is there next to him, and they act like they don't know each other.
Right.
He's just a guy. Even though, from what I hear, you know, they rode in the fucking car together, you know, to the Pawn Stars shop when they filmed that. He's just a guy, though, that's valuing the cart. He knows exactly who I am. And oh, by the way, his co-buyer of this cart is an investor in my company. None of these relationships are disclosed. If these relationships are known, someone watching that show at first glance, oh my God, if someone has no idea about retro games that maybe becomes, we'll just say, a collector investor, they can watch that and go, oh my God, this could be $1 million game next year. This can't lose. If that person had known there are all these relationships, could they step back and say, this seems a little bit shady?
Yes, of course.
This is a little bit sketchy at that point. It would be like going to a car lot, Ian, and having the salesman be there trying to sell the car, and a random person walks by and goes, oh my God, this is a great car. You should get it. Not realizing that maybe that person has a relationship with the person selling it.
Right.
He's not just some random ass person that's telling you to buy the car. You can't legally do things like that. So it gets into the weeds a little bit with the legalese. Like, for example, it brings up a roofing company, a lawsuit where there's
this is like when they're talking about the Carolina collection, basically. Yes. A roofing company, you know, there's a master elite certification that someone can get, but it's basically a paid for certification. Sure. The main factor in getting that certification is you have to buy a certain amount of roofing material from that company, and they give you this master elite certification that supposedly makes you look good. Well, you have to let the information has to be out there that this is basically like a paid for thing.
Yes.
Otherwise, they may take that certification the wrong way. And she was working that into a little bit with the Carolina collection, basically.
Which is Dana Anderson's collection.
You know, it has a name. It sounds special, but people need to understand what goes into why it has that name. Was there money involved? It was part of a collection that was purchased, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And on the tail end of that, you know, it went into Jeff Meyer.
Yes.
Who bought AtariAge, and then shut it the fuck down. And Dane called me personally about a week after, within a week, because it blew up. It was all over the place. The original September video that Carl did. And Dane straight out told me, he said, I would not have sold it if I thought he was going to shut the forum down.
Right.
And the forum had a lot of information, but also the database. And Jeff Meyer knew what he was doing. You're hiding information. And we see this potentially happening now with Moby Games, if Atari buys it, that trying to privatize or hide this information that's been public for so long, it's super important, not just to the hobby, but to the entire industry. It's incredibly disgusting to do that. But that's an aside, though. That's not the main reason this video exists, but that's just to clear up Dane. Like, Dane had nothing to do with all this bad stuff. And at the time, I don't think Carl thought someone did the original video of that. But yeah, it's a shame that it was shuttered like that. So I guess what this we can cap this. Let's see if there's anything else to say.
No, the thing that I really found interesting was The differences between puffery and actionable and the
specificity of one versus the other.
yeah, that and the whole roofing thing. I thought that was kind of interesting.
And also the things we said that we weren't sure about, that you have to disclose relationships. Like when we talk about, a sponsor, we have to say we are sponsored by them.
Right.
It's the same sort of thing. You have to disclose any financial relationship of that sort, or any beneficial relationship. If you're giving something for free, you have to disclose that legally under FTC laws. But I'm going to come back to the fact that, why did it take a YouTuber to go out of his way to make these videos? Like Carl saw us talking about this. He obviously saw the $1.5 million sale and it got him intrigued. Why did it take that to get this stuff in the public eye? Why was this ignored? And I don't have a good answer for that. I've been shoo-shooed by a game journalist, more than one, saying, "Oh, this is nothing." People are. I was literally told by game journalists, people are allowed to know each other. Like, it wasn't a big deal. They just know each other. Not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Horse is out of the barn, unfortunately, because now they did what they set out to do. If this was stocks, they'd be facing civil charges, if not criminal, in some cases potentially. That's the thing. The FTC can levy civil penalties. They'd have to refer, if something was really horrible, like fraudulent, they'd have to refer it to like Department of Justice to bring actual criminal charges against someone. But FTC, they can levy, civil penalties, which is monetary when it comes to this. Will that happen in this case? I don't know. I don't know if it gets to that point unless a lot of rich people get taken for a ride, which a lot of them are, and then complain. Would something be done about it? I don't know. What do you think, Ian? Why do you think this wasn't covered like this? Why do you think there were just articles put out on Game Journalist's website just believing what these people were saying without looking into it?
I just think all hobbies kind of are fairly insular and protect themselves from.
You don't want to think something's bad going on in your own.
Yeah, exactly. So it's usually just shoot and quieted, and that's it. I literally think that's the extent of it. People don't want to think that something bad happening is in their backyard. It
goes back to the award show sort of thing. I think we touched on this before. Is people like this, the importance placed on their hobby based upon valuation, and it's like, wow, a video game's now worth as much as an Action Comics. That means video games has
arrived, right? Yeah.
And it's like, why do you need that weird outside endorsement? The price valuation of a hobby should not be why you like video games, especially retro ones. If that's the case, Ian would have never gotten into it. I would have never gotten into it because the games were fucking worthless, most of them, when we started. The average NES game price was like $2 in the mid to late 90s. You know what I mean? Like they weren't worth much.
Yeah.
So like why do you need other people to tell you that what you like is important? If you like it, you like it.
Right.
Ian likes crocheting, right? You get into it.
I love it.
Would you love it more if like all of a sudden, oh my God, now everyone's doing it, and now some old ones from the 80s are now going for $1 million? Would it be like, I feel more important now in my choice of a hobby?
No.
You did your little cozy for Pat, and I enjoy it.
Square. It's a good square.
Little Menda cozy square.
Little Menda cozy. That's right.
Little Menda cozy. Little Menda square. You should make a cozy for it. But that's what it comes down to. So, game journalists, I know it doesn't seem sexy to want to look into things. It's easier to be like, oh my God, it's a record-breaking game price every month. But you helped create this. You helped create this situation. There's no accountability for that, but it is what it is. All right, Ian, we got a Patreon, don't we? Whoa. Sneezing all over my TurboGrafx games. My Aero Blaster's getting its blasters.
Okay. Patreon.com/CU podcast. You go, you give some money. You get writing.
Okay.
Do a writing this week. You get hangouts. We're doing a hangout this weekend. You get the full video podcast, and you get these Q&A polls.
Q&A, that's right. In second place, are sealed game collectors being mistreated? Oh, 38%. And in first place, why does it say 63%? Did they miscount? They do pat math. Best 8 and 16-bit arcade to console ports. 63%, which adds up to 101 on Patreon. Ian, what are some of the best 8 and 16-bit arcade to console ports?
All right, so the one that I thought of first, there's two that came to me like right away. One of them is Contra on the NES. I feel like people actually forget that Contra is an arcade game, or was an arcade game. The version on the NES plays better. I think it plays better on a 4:3 screen than it does on that widescreen screen that
Absolutely.
I don't particularly like. I just think it became a better home game than what they had in the arcade. It's
a better game.
Yeah, that feels like they had way more time to kind of flesh out what they really wanted to do with it. And yeah, it just plays better. Another one that I like to talk about a lot is Street Fighter 2 on the PC Engine / TurboGrafx. One of the finest arcade ports, one of the finer ports of Street Fighter 2.
The closest one.
Yeah.
Out of those 3 16-bit ones.
Exactly. It just plays really great, and it's impressive to see it because, as you know, you probably know, the PC Engine, TurboGrafx, et cetera, was an 8-bit processor, which with beefed up graphics. So what it's doing is genuinely impressive. Going back to the NES, a couple more that I always really liked were I feel like the Gunsmoke port to the NES is a better game.
Yeah, Gunsmoke.
It's an enhanced game.
They added the little shop stuff.
They added the shops. The firing is actually a little bit different, I believe. It's than the arcade, because I think the arcade had 3 buttons.
3 buttons. You hit A and B to go up straight versus B, left, A, right.
The additions they gave it really make it feel more like a home video game. They did a good job of taking, a pretty fast-paced arcade game and just adding a little bit to it that really kind of extended it for the NES. So those are the ones that and Bubble Bobble. Bubble Bobble's a fantastic arcade.
I don't know if I ever played that in the arcade. I'm trying to remember if I played that in the arcade or not.
I have, and I mean I'm sure there's some differences, but like it's just one of those.
Still have 100 levels in it.
Yeah, translates perfectly fine to the NES
because it's a one-screen game. It's a little easier.
Yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot.
It's a little easier to do. What?
Smash TV. That was the last one I wanted to do for the NES. Smash TV and the NES. Super Nintendo's good too, but I feel like the NES is particularly noteworthy just for how fun it actually is and how well it actually turned out.
It gets a lot in there.
They pack a lot in. So I think that's worth mentioning because to me, a good arcade port is not only is it accurate, but it's like, did it do well with what it had to work with? And the NES, especially when you use the 2 thumb pads.
Yeah, you emulate the arcade.
Great
one
game.
To move, one
really
to shoot.
Good game on the NES.
But this is the best one. So if it was the best one, it's still good though. It's admirable. Like the Smash TV on Super Nintendo is fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, it's close to the arcade. I'm sure they censor a little bit of it if I remember the violence, but like it sounds and looks just like the arcade. And there's 2 players, and then the cross pad buttons act as kind of like directionals.
Yeah.
So it works, and you can do the combination. So like if you needed to use buttons, those 4 buttons works out pretty well there. I'm looking at a video, and I haven't played the arcade in a long time, but I'm looking at Punisher for Genesis, the beat 'em up. From what I hear, it's a pretty good version of it. It's the best one. Obviously, the graphics won't be as nice, the Genesis, but like I'm looking at it, looks like you got the weapons in there, you got the guys running around. It looks pretty good. It looks pretty good there. Obviously, people are going to say, "Well, Pat, you bring up beat 'em ups, you got to bring up Turtles in Time on Super Nintendo." I mean, you just have to.
I actually played more of that on the Super than I did in the arcade, so I don't even really know if it's like a good arcade port, but it's definitely a good game.
I didn't play it that much. I played the original, but like it's fantastic.
Sure.
I mean, it's fantastic. If you want to stay on that, Sunset Riders.
Super Nintendo is
On Super.
closer than Genesis, yeah.
Yeah, Sunset Riders is amazing. I gave it 5 stars in the book. I was trying to think, like, is there anything wrong with this game? And I couldn't think of a damn thing wrong with that game. Playing it, like, well, there's nothing missing from that. It's a perfect, run and gun shooter when it comes down to it. Like, perfect.
I think lastly, I'd just throw in Final Fight CD because
Final Fight CD, that's a good one.
Yeah. Really did just about all it could with the systems at the time and created a very there's definitely some inaccuracies, but I mean, for the time, that was the best you were going to do.
And why is that? Because you had obviously multiplayer.
Yeah, the multiplayer, you had more people on screen, and you had the CD audio soundtrack.
Yes, you had a beefed up soundtrack.
Yep.
And you had cutscenes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You had cutscenes put in that.
Yep.
I own that, Ian. I found the box for it. Did I get the box at Luna? Did Luna have the box set? Or I got the disc at Luna? I thought I got one or the other at Luna.
You might have got. I think you got the whole thing at Luna.
No, I didn't get the whole thing.
Okay, I think someone I know did because we've had that a couple of times.
It's one of those dumb Carver ones that.
Yeah,
you can see it's right next to Night Trap.
Yeah,
look at that nice gradient yellow to red. What a fantastic box there. I'm gonna go back to NES ones. This is one that people will be like, "You're crazy, Pat." Tecmo Bowl. Tecmo Bowl was an arcade game.
Yeah,
that almost no one played. They had, was it the dual monitor?
Oh yeah, that game definitely found its home on system.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like, can I even call that a port anymore? It's like I can't even call Rygar an arcade port. It's entirely different. It's almost like you can't call Tecmo Bowl a port. It's entirely different.
Right.
It resembles it, but it's not. It's not. It's on the same sort of pedestal anymore. I was going to say Commando. The problem with Commando on the NES, though, is you have all the disappearing guys running around.
It's
like
insanely flicky.
It's like they throw all the guys on the screen, but it's like almost like they don't know when to calculate not to throw more guys on the screen. So enemies will just disappear.
Yeah.
There's too many sprites on screen.
Yep.
Once it gets to like whatever 8 or 9 enemies or 10, they'll start disappearing. So that's kind of weird. Trying to think, the NES one is a little bit tougher to say the best, but there's got to be ones that came out in the NES that weren't on the Super. There's got to be earlier arcade ones.
Well, Contra for one.
Contra.
Rygar was going to be another one. Gunsmoke was not on the Super Nintendo. The first Double Dragon. That's an interesting port.
That's not the best port though. To me, I qualify that as a different game.
I'm going to say Contra.
You're going to say Contra?
Yes.
Is there any shooters that were ported to the NES that you'd say were not the best one?
Not that would be better. That's unlikely because
Life
shooters
Force?
were always pushing. No, shooters were always pushing stuff. There's always flicker and slowdown and issues with shooters. You're going to get a better version in an arcade. I think Contra would probably be my vote.
We're just talking best ports. We're not saying it's better than the arcade. We're saying just.
I think we're looking at Contra for that.
For the best. That's the best version of. It's not the best version. It's. See what I'm saying?
Yes, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to slice it that far down. I'm just going to say Contra. That's my answer.
Okay. All right. And then I'll leave it on one last 16-bit arcade one. That was a really good port. Joe and Mac, really good port.
16-bit.
Really good port on the Super Nintendo.
It's either the Super. Well, from what I understand, they're fairly different from the arcades. One of them is. I think the Genesis one is actually supposed to be closer to the arcade.
Really?
Yeah. There's something weird with the Joe and Mac ports. I read about it ages ago, but they look great.
I mean, it looks fantastic. They look
amazing.
That was an early system seller to me. This is an arcade looking game.
Yeah, no, it really was.
I don't know why they got rid of the Caveman Ninja thing on it. I guess they didn't want it named that. And Joe and Mac sounded better as a marketable sort of thing. You know what's funny now I think about it? That wasn't an arcade game. Like Sonic should have been an arcade game when it came out. It seems like that's an arcade game, kind of. Short levels, Maybe obviously you have to make it harder, But that seemed like that would have been a nice arcade game. It looks like an arcade game, in a way. No?
Yeah.
Am I crazy? A little bit crazy.
A little crazy.
I'm not crazy. This portion of the CU podcast is sponsored by NordVPN. It's what I use to keep myself safe online, and you can too. If you care about the privacy and security of your online activities, NordVPN is what you need. I've used NordVPN since I've been traveling, again, Ian, at airports, at hotels, and even restaurants, and even at home sometimes when it's been useful.
NordVPN comes with a number of benefits. Your internet is totally secure with NordVPN. All of your internet data stays safe behind a wall of next-generation encryption. They have a strict no logs policy at Nord. They don't track, collect, or share your private data. Why? Because it's none of their business. VPN servers are everywhere. Choose from 5,400 plus servers in 59 countries. Enjoy the internet with no limits or borders. And there's worldwide access. Enjoy instant, secure access to hundreds of streaming websites worldwide. P2P welcome here. Share large files with no hassle thanks to hundreds of secure P2P servers. You can use it on multiple devices. One account lets you connect up to 6 devices, and you can secure them all in any combination. And use it with ease. It's just a click. Using NordVPN is as simple and intuitive as making your morning coffee.
Take control of your internet experience today with NordVPN. Right now, you can get a 2-year plan at a huge discount plus 1 additional month free when you go to nordvpn.com/CU podcast. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/CU podcast, or click the link in the description below on YouTube. All right, we got voicemails, Ian. Go to anchor.fm/the CU podcast. You go, you click a button to record. Hopefully your microphone is synced up, and hopefully you what we're doing with the hand motions there.
I'm listening to what you're saying.
You're dancing with the hands. You can leave us some questions here.
Hey, Pat. Hey, Ian. It's Dee from South Carolina again.
Hey, Dee.
What are your thoughts on retro video games with the Blockbuster stickers and labels on them? Do you think it increases the value any? Thanks. Goodbye.
Thanks, Dee.
No, it doesn't increase the value any. In fact, it largely decreases the value. That said, I've never been a person who's been upset by having stickers and stuff on their games. I would prefer it not be Blockbuster just because there's so many of those, but I actually like finding like rental stickers for like mom and pop shops on my games. I really enjoy that.
Yeah, the Blockbuster ones are like, they're too big. They ruin the labels. They're like, you can't get them off really easily.
If I collected N64 games, I would still buy ones with the Blockbuster label. I hate it when you find the occasional discs. There was a short period of time where they were throwing those labels on top of discs, and that's disgusting. Especially because they get all gummy and they start to. I won't put that in a system. Like it just.
You think? Well, I mean, it reads the other side, but
yeah, but it's just like
it's just weird.
Yeah, I don't.
It heats up. It's inside your Saturn. It would heat up. Or
I won't buy those. I'm also afraid it's gonna peel some of the fucking protective paint off the top, and then your fucking beam is just gonna shoot right through.
Like my Bong 3.
This is Paul from Raleigh, NC.
Hey, Paul.
What I'd like to know is, if you could master one special move from Street Fighter II, what move would you learn? And how would you use your new power?
Would you want to do a Hadouken? Would you want to have a Dalsim sort of like long limbs like Mr. Fantastic?
I'd get Guile's flash kick and I'd use it to harvest apples from trees in the fall.
Would it damage the apples by flash kicking them?
Might damage one, but I'd get a whole lot more at once.
Okay, Ian, it's very specific. Plus, it jumps high. It's like 12 feet.
Yeah.
With that, it's very specific.
Hey, guys. I have a question for Pat.
Oh.
Pat, about a year ago, you talked about what things you're good at, like writing, for example, but you also mentioned you have great vision in the dark. And I laughed out loud when you said that, because here I am thinking, how do you know you have great vision in the dark? What are you comparing it to? Because I wouldn't know if I have good or bad vision in the dark because I'm not sure how well others see in the dark. So I'd love to know what's your baseline for that. Thanks, guys.
Wow, very specific, Adam. Very.
He makes a good point.
I just think I am good at it. I do have the mutant ability to tell time. Ian has heard about my stories. I woke up the other night. I said I think it's 2:58. It was 3:08. I was off by 10 minutes.
I do that shit all the time. I don't think that's as impressive as you think it is.
Eat me, Ian. I've gotten very specific times as well. I've gotten like, it's like 3:04, and it's been like 3:04. It's happened.
Internal clocks are a thing.
Okay, well, mine's better. You want to put it? We'll put it. We'll have a scientific test for me and Ian. We'll both go to sleep. Wake up the same exact time.
What time is it?
Whoever's closest, Price is Right rules without going over.
No, there you go.
No, we're gonna do that. All right, next one.
Hello, Pat and Ian. This is Johnny Jalarico. No, that's not going to work. Johnny, that's not a name. Johnny is one. Johnny Jalarico, big fan of the podcast. First time, long time. My first question's for Pat. I just wanted to know, who are your favorite video game composers? Because I totally give a shit. Personally, I mean, obviously Tommy Tallarico is everybody's favorite, but after that, I would say Aerosmith, for Revolution X. Who doesn't love that one? My next question is for Ian. Now, this is a hypothermical question. Did I say that right? Yeah, it seems legit. So, you get to live in a mansion rent-free for the rest of your life, but you can never eat rice cakes again. Could you do it? Anyway, thanks for taking my call, and don't listen to the haters who tell you how much you suck. Don't listen to them. And when they tell you to jump off a bridge and kill yourself, don't listen to them either. Just don't. I mean, all your problems will be over, but still, you shouldn't do it. Maybe. I mean, it's up to you. Bye.
Sounds very familiar. I call it.
Yeah, it does.
Johnny? What's it? Johnny
Jalarico?
Huh. That's an interesting call. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah,
here.
I could eat rice cakes. I could not eat rice cakes.
Hey, this is Kevin from Portland, Maine. Question for you guys. I need a new roof, and it's going to cost me about $11,000. I have about 100 NES game or Super Nintendo games and about 70 N64 games, all handpicked by me in the previous 30 years of my life, and I'm just trying to figure out what the best way to do to sell them and make the most money. Should I just sell them in a lot on eBay, all the Super Nintendo games, all the N64 games, and call it a day? Should I separate the heavy hitters? I would say that I don't have any crap whatsoever. Sports games, I don't have any for the most part. Anyways, would love to hear your input. Thanks.
I mean, you'll have to. It really comes down to what you have, but I'll say this to everyone. This is kind of a meet in the middle response. Sell all your big hitters individually to people for as much money as you can get them for, and then auction off the stuff that's not moving and get it out of your life.
Or I guess whatever's remaining, that'd be tough to, like, the little common stuff. You find one buyer.
Right. Yeah. Or you do a group deal with it. If you absolutely want the most money out of it, no questions asked. The only way to do that is to sell them individually.
That could take forever.
Yes.
It could take forever. All right. Next one.
What's up, boys? This is Scatty in St. Louis. I'm just sitting here on a Sunday morning with a big doink, listening to the CU podcast, pondering the world, and it hit me. You guys are brilliant artists of this medium. You consider yourselves artists? And what's it like to be art?
What's it like to be art? I never thought about that. Entertainment.
No, I don't consider myself an artist. I just consider myself a podcaster.
Okay, all right. He sounded like he was like a beatnik.
He sounded like he was smoking a doobie.
Hello, guys. Greetings from the third world. I'm Romulo from Brazil. And I was like watching a video on YouTube about the 64DD, and I was wondering, what if the 64DD were the default media for the Nintendo 64? What could have been? It would have fared better.
I don't think it would have done much.
No, I don't think it would have done anything.
Because it's only 64 meg, those DD carts, tapes, whatever how you want to classify them. So, like, that's not really moving the needle much on the storage. So you still have a lot of the same issues you'd have with the carts.
Yeah, on the NES, the disk drive was such a big deal because it was larger, cheaper storage, and it also gave you an easy way to write a save game as opposed to using batteries, which could be faulty, or passwords, which you could forget. On the N64, we're already working with file sizes like that. We're already seeing games far bigger than that on the PlayStation with, I think the CD's 750 megabyte limit. Yeah, I don't think visually, audio-wise, I don't think we would have seen anything particularly unique, other than maybe some of those like expansion sets and like the F-Zero X Course Creator.
Yeah,
I think that's maybe the one thing that made sense to have on like the disc drive, but nothing else really made any sense. It was just there to be there.
You're not getting Final Fantasy VII on the 64 DD. Like, that's not gonna.
Yeah.
So, like, if it's still game over.
You would still need like 10 of those.
Take them out and load them up. Because remember, like, that's slower than a cart. The DD stuff. So there's still give and take to stuff like that. It's like in between a CD, obviously, but okay, what we got here? We'll do like 3 or 4 more. We're more than usual, Ian.
Hey, Pat. Hey, Ian. It's Brad from Whippany again.
Whippany.
On a recent podcast, I heard you talking about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the video game. And they got me thinking, since most books, video games, and TV shows have been turned into video games already, what piece of classical music or artwork do you feel should have been or should be turned into a video game? I personally would love to see a Nintendo game based on Michelangelo's David. Thanks for your time. Bye.
Okay. I'd like to see how that would be parsed out. I I don't know. An adventure game based upon Poe's Telltale Heart. I don't know. Like that's not classic art though. But
yeah, I don't
for a
really,
story.
I don't really have an answer for that. I mean, that's a more interesting one. I think that I would need to ponder more so.
Piece of art.
Yeah.
What's one with the guy's face like like the Home Alone? That
Scream.
The Scream. How about that? Make a game of that. That's an interesting question. I just don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
Hey Pat, me and long time, first time. With Sony and Microsoft acquiring studio after studio, does Nintendo need to get involved? Do they risk losing third-party support if there are less non-exclusive studios? Or can they continue to create new IPs from within, such as Splatoon? Lastly, if Nintendo were to acquire a major third-party studio, which do you think would make the most sense? Thanks.
Yeah, I don't think Nintendo's worrying about buying a third-party studio. I think they're good.
No, I don't think they are either. I think they're fine. I think, like we've talked about when we really hashed it out on the podcast a few weeks ago, the question was something like, do they need new IPs or, should they work with the ones they have? And it's like, frankly, when you look at Nintendo's history, there's plenty of things they're not doing anything with. I don't think they're in danger of really needing new, fresh stuff. I always love to see new, fresh stuff, but they have so many IPs that we've talked about that haven't had anything in years, that I think people would rather see. At this point, I think people would rather see loved franchises come back with an entry as opposed to new stuff. So I don't think it's really something Nintendo's concerned about.
They have like 24 IPs that are viable. Once you have that number, that you're set for like a generation or two of games, and obviously you make new versions. Like that's enough IPs. That's more IPs than a lot of the studios, for viable IPs. Like 24 is that's insane. I mean, Microsoft didn't have 24. Under their own umbrella. We're not even close to that. But so that makes more sense to buy, obviously, the other properties. But they're fine. Like even if they have only like a 35% third-party support, and they're never going to get 100% as when their technology is a half step behind, they're going to be fine. They're okay. I'll do a couple more.
Hey, Pat and Ian. This is Dan from Boston. I was wondering what your go-to gaming snacks were back in the day.
Oh.
So chips, candy, soda, some combination. Just curious.
I never snacked while I gamed. It was always like, come home from school, you have a snack, then you play video games or go out. And I never did it in concert. I just didn't want to get Cheetos on a controller or chip when I was concentrating on a game, because I guess it's different when the games are so much harder when you're a kid versus now you can be more casual. Sometimes like you had to concentrate. I didn't know time to snack. I just almost never did it. It wasn't a thing.
When I was a teenager, I ate a lot of candy, Skittles. Suckers were a big one. I love Blow Pops and Tootsie Pops, and you could just park those in the corner of your mouth and play the game. You're good to go. Modern day, I don't eat a lot of snack foods that have dusts or flavors on them because I don't want to get that shit on my controllers. I do eat a lot of nuts though. Har. I do eat tons of nuts.
Like those nuts?
Love nuts.
Like how they feel in your mouth?
I do. Crunchy and full of protein.
Hi, this is Top from Top Spot 123 on YouTube, and I have a question for Pat.
Oh.
The original Intellivision had less than 150 games made for it. How much would it take for you to make an ultimate Intellivision guidebook by Pat Contry? That isn't rhetorical. Pick your number and put it on Kickstarter. As a stretch goal, you could do an Intellivision Amico launch library guidebook. Well, pamphlet. Leaflet, one sheet. Could you imagine? Thanks for the years of entertainment, guys. Keep it up.
I'd have to imagine, 'cause I'm not sure the console will come out. I'd have to. Can I imagine? Yes, I'm going to have to. I had someone approach me about doing it for the Atari 2600, which is actually an interesting proposition because the games are so simple to play. You can play almost any Atari game you can play in like a half hour. I mean, 40 minutes tops for most of these games.
Coming up with a complete list would be the impossibility.
Well, there's a somewhat complete list you can probably go with to agree upon. Most people would be agreeable.
Sure.
You would think. I don't know if you put like the birthday cart in there or things like that, but you could include it. The ROMs are out there for most of this stuff. But that would be like probably the only semi-viable pre-Nintendo console to do it.
Financially, at least, in terms of getting enough people to buy into it.
That's the thing. Like if I did an Intellivision book or ColecoVision only had about 125, I think, games, something like that. Like you can do it. The effort would be way less than doing 800 Super Nintendo games or 800 or even 400 N64 games. But who the hell would buy it? If I took an Intellivision book to a convention, say there's a convention, I usually would sell 60 to 80 books. Would I sell even 10 Intellivision books? Would I sell 5? Like, those are the questions you have to ask yourself when you do these things. You know, it's almost like, yeah, you'd have to kickstart to see what the interest is. And maybe when I'm 85 years old and I needed some money while I'm on my private island somewhere, you know, hopefully I have a private island, get away from people. I'll be like, all right, I want to do an Intellivision guidebook and see if people would support it by then. But maybe by then the Amico, the Super Amico 4 will be out by then. All right, got time for one more, you think?
One more.
You think someone wants to check in?
Maybe.
See what's going on?
Have I played Atari today? No, I have not. But Atari sure played me. You know, man, shutting down the Happy Amico Sunshine and Rainbows discussion on the AtariAge forum is one thing, but don't lie and tell people we didn't agree on it. I must remember the day totally different than you, Albert. Started like this. Miyamoto-san came by and gave me some mushrooms that he said would make me grow big like Super Mario, so I ate them. And right after he left, I talked to you. You said you would only shut down the Amico conversations if it was okie dokie with me. I said, I don't like those ding-a-lings on there anyway. You said, okay. Then you turned into an airplane and you flew away. Don't lie to people. I have witnesses. Kirby was sitting right there the entire time. He heard everything you said. I don't know when he came in the room, but he was right next to me on the couch eating Dunkaroos, not bothering anybody. And as soon as I find him, we'll both see you in court. Legal incoming.
Wow, that's actually a clever little thing, because Kirby was Nintendo's lawyer before he was a cute, pink, little chubby little guy that we all love.
That's right.
So very, very nice. Well, I hope it works out, Tommy, with you. I hope best of luck on your future endeavors, promoting your game on your private Facebook page. Is that it for the CU podcast?
That's it. We're done.
This wasn't a bad one, Ian.
Yeah, it was fine.
It always gets tougher once you get into the Christmas season. There's less and less topics, especially like after Christmas. We have to see what happens. What are you scrolling for? You looking for Dunkaroos?
If the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 trailer was out, I was gonna watch it before we left, but it's not.
Oh, it's not?
No.
It's not out? We talk about
it's
that
been
next
rated and it has a 2-minute and 18-second runtime. But yeah.
Wow, it's almost been 3 years since that came out already.
Oh.
Yep. No, 2 years. It came out February 2020.
No.
Right before the pandemic started.
Yes.
2 years.
2 years.
Wow, I get another one within 2 years.
Yeah.
And they'd have to redo the entire CG of this one this time, right?
Yeah, they learned.
They learned? Is this the one with Idris Elba in it?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
I gotta keep track of it. Okay. I'm just excited that it was confirmed that Charlie Cox is going to be Daredevil again in the MCU.
Yeah, that's
cool.
That's good stuff.
That could be the best or most accurate interpretation of any of these superheroes that we've had, or closest to it when we actually boil it down. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Great actor. Charlie Cox, great actor, and he's British, taking our jobs, but he's great at it. So we'll see. I'm excited for No Way Home. I'll be in Sacramento at the SAC Gamers Expo that weekend. I'm going to buy my tickets for that Friday. I'm going to go see it.
All right.
And then I'll drop a video from my hotel room, which will probably get more views than anything I've done in the past year, because it comes out right away. So people are like, oh, I got to see all the reactions.
Dropping deuces.
I didn't say that.
All right. Bye.
Check out, we talk about wildlife and how we were astonished by what was not native to North America on the Patreon exclusive podcast.
That's right.
Patreon.com/CU podcast.
Good little segment.
All right, we'll see you later.
Bye.